everybody, Nick Lacapo here from Penguin Magic, and if you're watching this video, it is because you got the Workers Envelopes by Tom Phoenix. This is an incredible set of utility envelopes that will allow you to achieve all different sorts of mentalism routines, and you're gonna love what they can do. In this instructional video, I'm gonna cover my favorite trick to do with it, along with some additional applications, and then you'll get to hang out with Doc Hilford, watch a stage performance, and see some really cool insights on what is possible with the Workers Envelope. So let's get started. Let's take a closer look at the envelopes that you've received inside of your kit. If you open it up, you will have received 3 envelopes and then one extra little piece here with a clear piece of plastic at the bottom. Now, 2 of these envelopes are exactly the same and one is a little different. They all operate the exact same way, but 2 have a magnetic closure and one is ungimmicked in a sense. So what I'm going to do is show you one of the magnetic ones. Now, in order for you to find one of the magnetic ones, you just have to look at the flap here at the top, and if it looks a little thick, try to separate it out, and you'll see that it has 2 thin magnets holding that flap together. Well, if you were to take that a step further and pull this inner one out, you'll see a very similar gimmick to the extra piece that you have there. So that is the construction of the Workers Envelope. There's an insert on the inside creating 2 pockets on the inside of the envelope, and then this flap up here magnetically clicks together. Okay, I'm going to show you what all of that does in just a second, but you'll have 2 envelopes that look exactly and work exactly just like that. The third envelope, this envelope, if you look, there's no magnetic closure here at the top. This envelope's ungimmicked, so you have a completely ungimmicked envelope if you ever wanted to hand it out or something like that, or have somebody completely inspect the envelope, which you probably should never need to, but you do have one of those. And then you also have an insert that goes to this envelope. So if you were to slide this in, I always like to have the glue side on the back. Nobody will ever see it, so it's not going to matter. And that goes in there like that. Now, essentially, you have the same envelope as the magnetic one. It's just there's no magnet to close it, which isn't actually necessary. You'll see in some of the routines, or even when you start to handle the Workers Envelope, you might actually prefer the one without the magnet, but we wanted to include both there so that you have it. So that's the differences between the envelopes. Now let's take a look at what they do. At its core, the Workers Envelope allows you to switch any item that's on display on the inside of the envelope for something else in more of like a visual style, like you actually see the object being removed from the envelope. However, in that process, that object is indeed switched. Okay, so I've switched a 1 for a $5 bill. You then can also show the envelope as empty. Okay, so that, you know, that there's nothing else in the envelope for anyone to see. And that is what the Workers Envelope does. It's really just a switching envelope. So let me show you how it works. There's 2 compartments inside the Workers Envelope. I'm going to fold back this top flap, right, peeling that magnet apart, and this is where that $1 bill is hidden. Okay, I'm going to take that out for right now. Here's that insert that we have. Now the insert essentially makes 2 pockets. This is the top pocket, and then this is the bottom pocket. Okay, whenever this clicks together, these little flaps are going to stick together there. Okay, now we also have the window and this black area here. This area is where our original objects will vanish to. Okay, the $1 bill ends up in the back here. So not in the back, but right behind this black area. Let me show you exactly what happens now that you know that there's 2 compartments here. So when I started this, I had the $5 bill here on the back side of it. Now, just for example's sake, I'm going to fold this back and place the 5 right here. Okay, so we know exactly where it is. But it doesn't have to be here, but you'll see why in just a second. Now, the $1 bill is going to go in the top area all the way down. Okay, all the way down here like that, so it can be seen in the window. Now, here's our situation. $1 bill, it's in the top area. And then we also have the 5, it's on the back. And I'm going to hold it in a way. So I'm holding the 5 with my pinky finger here, and my hand is just kind of clamping onto the envelope so it can keep it bowed open. You can see this flap is flaps backwards at this point. And this is what the switch is going to look like. We have the $1 bill in that front pocket, so my fingers are going to reach into this top pocket here, right? It's going to take that $1 bill, and then it's going to pull it out and leave it inside of this black area here. As I'm pulling it out, right, my thumb is going to grab the $5 bill, and then as it leaves that 1 up there, it's going to just pull this 5 out as if this was the one that came out of the envelope. You can put that on the table, and then all you have to do is snap these 2 flaps together and bow it open again, and you can show that the envelope is completely empty. So that's essentially the procedure with the worker's envelope. Now there's a couple other ways to handle it here as well, but I just wanted to give you an idea of what's happening. The object is being pulled out, being left in that black area as another object is being produced either from or from behind the envelope. I did say from the envelope, so let's take a look at what that looks like now. So the $5 bill, the 1 is still in the envelope here. The $5 bill is going to start on the inside of the back pocket in the black area. Okay, so I'm just going to place it right there. Then I'm going to split the magnet and fold it over like this. So now I have the 1 on display and the 5 in the back pocket being held in place by my thumb in this flap. Which is kind of nice because you can kind of show it on both sides. A quick casual flash won't hurt anybody there. And now, when you want to perform the switch, it's very similar. I'm going to hold the envelope the same way, okay? My fingers are going to reach in the front pocket, grab that $1 bill, and then bring it to the blackout area, okay? And then once you get it here, what you're going to do is you're just going to gesture to the audience. You're going to make a comment. You're going to say, and what was your card? Or what number are you thinking of? Or whatever presentation you're doing, you're just going to break this operation up into 2 steps. Once you get it there, you're going to make that comment, and then you're going to use your finger to flip that flap back over, right? Or if you don't want to use just your finger, once you bring this $1 bill into here, you could say, and what was the name of your card? And then come back, flip that flap over, and then continue to take the $5 bill out. It just is an extra step in the process, but depending on what routine you're doing, it'll just completely fly right by. And lastly, there's another handling that you might find some use for as well. If you have more of a heavier object, like some coins or something. This is for more of a visual transformation. You get the $1 bill out of here, and I'm going to place 2 nickels into the top pocket, and then 2 pennies just underneath in the bottom pocket right there, right? Now, here's what's cool if you think about it, because this is magnetically shut, these nickels can only fall, they're just going to fall, because if I tilt this envelope up, they're going to just drop into this blackout area and never be seen again. They're not going to fall out of the envelope because it is magnetically closed, right? So if I dump these nickels out on the table, you can see that they just transform into 2 pennies, and of course the 2 nickels are trapped now inside of this magnetic enclosure and can't come back out, which of course you can show the inside of this envelope empty. So that is the various ways that you can handle the worker's envelope. Doc is also going to show you a couple fun different ideas as well a little bit later in this tutorial, but let's take a look at what my favorite trick to do with the worker's envelope. Christy, I have a little envelope. It's got a window in it, right? And it's empty outside of this little piece of paper, okay? So I'm gonna put that in there so that you know at all times that that piece of paper is there, okay? I have a pack of cards. We're just gonna give them a quick mix. And all I wanted you to see that they're all different, okay? All the cards are different. Could you just give them a cut? It's okay. You cut thin. It was your choice. It was your choice where to cut, right? It was your choice. It was your choice. In cutting the cards, a lot of times people would say that like this is the card that you cut to, but I want to give you a choice. It can either have this card or you can have the card above it. Which card?
That one.
You're sure?
Yeah.
You don't want this one?
That one.
Okay. So this will be yours. Let's not look at it just yet, okay? Let's not look at it just yet. Because I want to show you this. Remember that prediction I showed you before? I'm just going to... Right? This prediction I wrote down says the 5 of hearts, okay? Had you chose this one, which you could have, it would have been the King of Spades.
What the heck? Do it again! Second time!
There's lots of styles of routines that can be achieved or enhanced with the worker's envelope. Among them, which I think might be my favorite of the best, is using it for a multiple out. Multiple outs are among the strongest pieces of magic that you can show somebody, and using something like this makes it even stronger. Now for this example, I'm going to show you the explanation using the ungimmicked envelope, the one without the magnet. It doesn't matter, you can use the one with the magnet. I just like the extra, in case I make a mistake myself, if I wanted to get back into the top section, as you'll see in just a second in this explanation, I like the option of having it not stick mid-performance. You'll see why in just a bit. Okay, so you'll need an envelope, doesn't matter, either one. Deck of cards. You'll need some billets. The billet size that I like to work with the worker's envelope, because it is a pretty specific size, is I have, this is 2.5 inches by 2.25 inches, okay? That way, if you were to fold the billet and place it, like you could fold it horizontally. This is how Tom likes to fold his billets, which I thought was really cool in watching his explanation originally. When you place it on the inside here, they set horizontally like that. I should mention, anytime you're placing paper or anything else inside of this envelope, you want to keep it so the crease of the paper is pointing towards the opening. That way it won't get hung up on, there's a little bit of a ledge in there in the way that they're constructed, right? So you want that fold to be on this side so nothing gets caught on the way out. So when you reach in, it's just a lot easier to grab it and pull it right out. But you can also fold these into quarters as well, and this makes for a great size for your envelope, as you'll see, especially in Doc's explanation that is coming up. Okay. So you'll need some billets. I just cut my own from art paper. So there you go. This is a killer trick. First thing you're going to do is figure out what force cards you're going to use. There's 2 of them. And I can't remember in the example that we had there, I think I was filming a couple specific tricks that night, so I had to use 2 certain cards for some other routine from the performance that you saw. But I think the 2 cards I had were the King of Spades and the 5 of Hearts, or something similar. And you're just going to write these down on 2 billets. We might as well use this one. We've already used it. And this doesn't have to be anything fancy. King of Hearts. And then we'll go... Oh, I did it wrong. Let's go King of Spades. King of Spades. And 5 of Hearts. There we go. Okay. Get a little more of a bottom on that. And you're going to fold these up so that they fit nicely in your worker's envelope. And you're going to place 1 in the top pocket and 1 in the bottom pocket. The only thing is you need to remember which one goes where. I always put the higher version in the higher slot, so the king would go in the top, 5's going to go in the bottom. So this scenario, I'm going to place the king on the inside and go ahead and put it on display, and then the 5 goes into the bottom pocket here, and then the flap gets folded over it, and then we're ready to go, okay? Now, I guess we're just going to go through the force of the card, because essentially what's going to happen here is we're going to put ourselves in a position where the spectator has a choice of either one of these cards, except they don't know it, right? And it doesn't matter which one they choose, we have the out for both of them, but of course they only think there's one thing on display. Because we're going to start by saying, look, I have a special piece, a little piece of paper here inside this envelope. And you can reach in and you can take it out, right? And you can even show that the envelope is empty. Now, you do have another flap on the back side of here, but this is another reason why it's been constructed in black, so that nobody can see it, especially if this is just moving around, everybody's like, yeah, it's just an empty envelope. Then you can take your prediction and throw it back into the envelope so that everybody can see, and you can say, okay, great, that's going to be important in just a little while later. That's how the trick can start. Now, you're going to need to start with these two cards on the top and the bottom of the deck, just like that. You need to know which one is which. Again, king on top, king is higher, 5 on the bottom, it's lower. And you're going to shuffle these. Now, you need to shuffle them so that they stay in position, which is really easy if you know how to riffle shuffle, because you're just going to keep that 5 on the bottom as you shuffle, king to the top. Just maintain the positions of both of these cards. So 5 on the bottom, riffle all the cards, and the king is the last card to go on the top of the deck. You can shuffle that off, put it on the table, and now you're going to ask your spectator to cut the cards. And we're going to be using the crisscross force, which is an incredible force for this trick. If you're unfamiliar with it, you already know we have our first force card, the king of spades, which is right here, and we have the 5 of hearts on the bottom, which is the one in the secret pocket in the envelope. We're going to force either one of these cards, but it's going to be up to them. So here's how the force works. They're going to cut the cards anywhere they want. Again, these are not face up. I'm just kind of doing this for a demonstration. And then you're going to pick up this bottom packet, or you can have them do it if you think they're capable. And you're going to place it on top of this one, but kind of like at a crooked angle, like that. It's usually to mark the cut or mark the spot. After you've done that, you're going to kind of pull attention away from the deck for a second, and you can say, now you could have cut anywhere that you wanted to, and most magicians would like maybe make you take the card that you cut to, but I want to give you a choice. And you're doing this to make it sound more fair, but you're also taking the attention away from the deck for just a moment, because there's a slight discrepancy with the crisscross force. Now you're going to pick this up, and you're going to say you can have this card here, which of course is face down normally, but we know it's the king of spades, or you can have the card above it. You can have the card you cut to or the card above it. Which one would you like? Now, let's just say they said let's go with the king of spades for this one. Okay, the king of spades, great. You can have them pick it up and just slide it over. I don't want to touch it. You know, we seemingly don't know what that card is at the moment. Okay, great. Now, I'm just curious what the card would have been had you chose this one. So now you can take this off and show everybody the 5 of hearts. Interesting. Remember this prediction that I had on display this entire time. Now, we already know that this king of spades, and the king of spades is the actual one that's in the window. So you don't have to do anything. You can actually just pick this envelope up, bow it open, and drop that king of spades into your spectator's hand, because there's no switch required, right? It's just the one that's in the top pocket. So you can literally just have them open up their hand and dump it out. You can't let them open the envelope because obviously you have the flap on the back, but it is the cleanest way of doing it. I'm moving this around too much and getting this out of the spot. Okay, so you can just dump that king of spades out into their hand, open it up, and read it, and you'll be like, I wrote down the king of spades. It's not the 5 of hearts, but you could have taken the 5 of hearts, right? Right there is interesting, because it's like, yeah, had I taken that 5 of hearts, magician would have been wrong. Then they can turn their card over and you get the big hit, right? Which is really, really strong. It's really good because they know they could have had this card. Let's walk through the scenario if they do choose that card. So I'm just going to fold this back up, place it into the visual pocket, and then we'll do this face down this time. Oh, the 5's in my right hand this time. So 5 goes on the bottom, and you leave the king all the way on the top. Shuffle those off, place them on the table, have your spectator cut the cards anywhere they want, and then place them at a different type of angle. Now you're going to say, now most magicians might make you take the card you cut to, but I'll give you a choice. Do you want the one on the top, or do you want the one above it? And if they say this one, you'll say, great, let's slide that off to the side. I don't want to see it just yet. Now, just out of curiosity, what card could have you have chosen? And as you say that, you're going to pick the envelope up and get it in position for the switch with your hand around it and your finger on the back of the flap there, right? And as they turn this over, this is when you're going to start the procedure for the switch. So you're just going to reach in, because seemingly this is fine. As they're doing all this, as they turn this over, this is when you can go in and come in, take the paper to the blackout area, and then stop, look at the card as they do it. Oh, the King of Spades, interesting. And then fold that flap back. And now what's nice too is once this flap is folded back, you can take the piece of paper out from the back side here. You can let it fall out that way, right? Because the flap is closed and the other billet is locked on the inside of here. So once you get that flap turned over, feel free to just dump that out and you can show the envelope completely empty, right? Interesting. You could have taken the King of Spades, which I'm glad you didn't, because I wrote down the 5 of Hearts. Wouldn't that be crazy if that's the 5 of Hearts? And then they turn it over and they freak out, okay? And this is a great trick to do. I recommend you go try to do this trick, but obviously this works with anything with multiple outs. It could be shapes or ESP symbols or colors or literally anything that can be written down on a piece of paper you can use for multiple outs in this envelope. And it's, I think, one of the strongest ways that you can use it. So far, we've taken a look at how the envelope works. Now let's talk about some things that you can do with it. Now, we've been using a 1 and a 5. This was simply for visual explanation, so you could see how one object is switched for another. But bills are a great thing to use in the worker's envelope, specifically if they were the same. Switching one object for another one that looks identical is a great thing to do. So why would you want to do that? Well, let's say that you had the serial number memorized on this $10 bill. Now, I don't have it memorized, but imagine that you did memorize it, which isn't the hardest thing in the world to do. You could place this in the back flap, right? And then fold that flap over. Then you could ask to borrow a $10 bill. Now, this could be a 1 or a 5 or anything that you want. And you would have the spectator fold it up just like this. You would never look at it. You wouldn't even touch it. Instead, you'd have them drop it themselves inside of the envelope. So they could just drop it right in the envelope, and then you would just leave it on display like that. And then you could go into your routine or whatever else you were working on at the time. Later on, you would come back to this $10 envelope, and this is when you would execute the switch that we have already talked about. Of course, you would break this one up into steps. You would come back and then take the one. And also a great thing to turn the envelope over and let it fall out of the back like that. Okay, and now you have the $10 bill with the serial number that you have memorized. So you could use that for anything that you wanted to. So we've seen how you can use the worker's envelope as a bill switch or a serial number divination. Here's a simple trick you can do with a blank billet. You would show this blank piece of paper, have your audience examine it, and they can fold it up. And then you can even have them drop it on the inside of the worker's envelope. You leave that on full display, full view. Deck of cards is introduced, shuffled up. You can have somebody cut the cards anywhere you want, leave it at an angle. And then you're going to look at the card that you've cut to. So you're going to take that card and then visualize it. Now I'll show it to you over there. But they're going to visualize that card. Now you say, remember this prediction here. Now this was blank, obviously. But I want you to visualize the card that you've selected. And imagine it being printed on the inside of the paper. What was the card that you chose? And they'll say the King of Hearts. Take a look. that this paper was blank before, but you visualized the King of Hearts, and that is exactly what was printed, the King of Hearts. And of course, you could show the envelope as empty. So that's an easy trick that you can do with a billet, and you already know how it works because you already know how the switch works with the envelope. All you have here is a pre-written prediction of a force card and a blank billet. Now, you can write this in Sharpie or a pen, doesn't matter. I only bring that up because if you write in a Sharpie, it can sometimes bleed through, but it's going to be appearing on the billet anyway, so you might be into that. Doesn't matter. Anyway, point is that this gets folded up and left on the back pocket of the envelope, right? And that just gets left on the table. Oh, one tip I wanted to give you while we're talking about it is, if you haven't done so already, really fold down this flap. If you don't, if it's like kind of still sticking up, the envelope might prop itself up when you leave it on the table like that. So give this flap a nice fold down. That way it lays nice and flat whenever it's on the table. Okay? All right. So you have your blank billet. Have them examine it, and you're going to have them fold it up, and you can just drop it into the envelope. And you can have your spectator do that. Don't be afraid to let them just drop it right into the envelope like this. And always remember to keep those folds to the north side. You don't have to do it. It's just an easier process to get the billet out. Then you're going to force a card. You already learned a card force, but in case you don't remember, it's just the quick crisscross force of the King of Hearts, which is on the top. But of course, you can also, when you're doing that force, feel free to shuffle off the bottom of the deck. I'm just leaving that King of Hearts on the top there, right? Every time, it never moves. So your spectator can cut, have them put it at a different angle, and then have them, take the attention away from the deck for a second, ask them to take a look at the card and visualize it. And as they're visualizing the card, that's when you can pick up the envelope and get ready to do the move, right? Where you're going to reach in and you're going to pull out the prediction, and then you're going to leave it behind as you ask them what was the name of your card. You're then going to flip the flap over and then produce the written prediction from the back, and it feels as if the prediction has just simply appeared on the billet. So we've seen serial number divination, maybe like more of an appearing transformation of something. Another routine that you would probably be interested in doing, and Doc is going to be talking a lot about this more in the next section, is loading in some sort of in-the-moment prediction into the envelope. So this is, you have a prediction in full view the entire time, but throughout the course of your routine, you've obtained some information, you've secretly written it down via maybe some double writing or something else. And again, Doc is going to cover a lot of this moving forward. But you have a billet here that you want to make it appear that has come from this envelope. How do we get that done? Well, in almost all scenarios, you're going to have this piece of information in a finger palm. I'm right-handed, so I like to do this with my left hand. I'd have the information that I want to switch into this envelope in my left hand. And you have your prediction in full view the entire time. What you're going to do is you're going to pick up the envelope at some point before you're going to do the reveal, and you're simply going to place it into your hand with the prediction. And I'm just placing the prediction right in the exact spot that it would go for the move that you already know. So I'm just pasting the envelope and putting it on top of the prediction. As I'm going to gesture and patter a little bit more, okay? Because you want to break this action up into 2 steps. So first step is get it into your hand. The second step is I want to reach in. This is my motivation. I want to reach in to get that billet, but obviously that's not possible from this position. So you would have to grip with your right hand and then reposition with your left so that your fingers can go in and make the switch. So in doing that, I've put myself in our position that we're already aware of. So let me just break that down for you so that you can see it. So I have my prediction here. This is going to go on top like this. I'm going to gesture, and then I'm going to grip the envelope with my right hand and the prediction underneath, and then re-grip my left hand into the spot that we have already learned so that my finger is on the billet there. and now I'm in the correct position to go in and make the change with the billet. Okay, so that is an example of how you would load a prediction on the back side of the envelope. And let me just, now we'll end this by just a quick trick that you can do with it as well. Here's one last application for the worker's envelope. You've learned lots of different ways to perform with it. This uses things you already know, so you'll probably know how this works, but I wanted to include it just so you can see it. I'll just kind of step through it quickly. You would basically say, hey, I have a very mysterious looking torn corner in my envelope here. Then you can have your spectator choose any card that they want. It genuinely does not matter what this card is. You would pick up that card and you're just going to tear off the small corner of the card. And this card could also be signed as well. So you can have them sign that card. Now you're going to destroy this corner. You want to get rid of this corner, and I recommend burning it. Burning it's probably one of the cooler ways you can do it. It's a fun thing to do presentationally as well. I can't burn this right now just because I'm in my apartment, but we're going to, you would get rid of that torn corner. Then you're going to call attention to the torn corner in the worker's envelope, and you already know where this is going because if you reach into the envelope, you can pull this out and then say, remember, we've had this piece on display the entire time. Wouldn't it be interesting if it matched the piece that we burned earlier? And you can show that it is a perfect match. So you already know how this works. This is a great trick to do, but let me step you just through some of the things that's going on here. Now, of course, you already have a dummy corner on display in your worker's envelope. I like to go small with this just because it's easier to hide in the black area, and a bigger piece, if it is like a larger piece, like something like this. I have a bigger piece over here. It's just more opportunity for it to peek out of the into the window here. So a smaller tear, I think, is pretty good, and that's going to be on display at the start. I also like to bend it up a little bit so that when I reach in, it doesn't hit that ledge at all. So that's just going to slide into the envelope. Let me get it down in there. And you want to position it in a spot that is comfortable for you because it's just going to live there. And that goes on display. You're also going to need an extra torn corner that looks like the way that you're going to tear the card. It doesn't need to be perfect. I'm just going to get rid of this 5, the one we used, and then I'll use this one instead, because this is the piece that you're going to be hiding in your hand, and this is also the piece that's going to get burned later in the routine, okay? So that just gets hidden loosely in my left hand. Now, any card can be chosen. It doesn't matter. And this card can be signed, and then you tear the corner off. Now, you just want to tear it in a way that is similar to this piece, okay, and this piece. But look, as long as I'm just tearing the pip of the card here, right? And I'm doing it with this piece in my hand like this. So I'm just going along like that. And now you have this. Now you have to switch this piece for this piece, which is so easy to do because I'm just doing it behind the card like that. It's an easy switch, and it's so simple to do while you're talking. Here's what it looks like. So I have this 5 here, and I've just torn the corner off of the card. I do need to flip this around, and I'll just do it casually as I'm talking and gesturing. I'll put this behind the card, and then just bring my thumb back and come away with this one, right? So it just, at speed, it just looks like this. I've torn it off. You say, oh, yeah, great. So this is your corner, right? And it's the easiest perfect switch. Now you're going to burn this piece. And I have something else to say about this piece in just a second, but for right now, burn that piece. Now you're stuck with the actual torn corner that you want to produce from the envelope on the back of the card. You're just going to easily slide that into your hand as you're talking. It's the easiest thing. Nobody will ever see it. Now it's here in my left hand, right? It's not even a move. Now you already know what to do. You're just going to pick up the envelope and you're going to place it on top of the torn corner, right? And you're going to do the whole sequence of readjusting. So I'm holding it on the back side there and then getting in position to do the move. Now, when you do the move now, after you pull this up, when you produce this piece from the envelope, you just have to turn it over. Because of the sequence of moves we've done, this piece is face up in your hand. If you do find a moment to just flip it over in your hand, you can, but if it is face up, just be conscious when you produce this corner from the envelope that if you don't want to do it this way, right? You want to do it this way. And it's easy to do because if it's reversed, you just simply turn it over under the envelope as you pull this out and show it. And that's it. It's a really strong trick to do. One note on the dummy piece. This is something that Tom talks about, and that is if you're going to use a dummy piece and you want to burn it, you could use this as a split card, okay? This isn't the spot to teach you about split cards, but essentially you could have a thinner piece of card which would be easier to burn. Like for example, I could pull the back off of this card right now, right? And if this was my dummy piece, this would burn a whole lot easier than a full piece of card. You don't have to do that, but it's just an interesting little note that easier to burn a split piece of card than a full card. So there you go. That is the burnt and restored, or not restored, burnt and predicted card. So you've seen some switches with the worker's envelope and some transformations. And now I'm going to throw you over to my friend Doc Hilford, who's going to show you how to make predictions with the worker's envelope, along with how to use it as a peek as well. Okay, so enjoy your time. Watch the full tutorial. Doc always drops so much knowledge, and he's a joy to listen to. So I hope you have fun with my buddy Doc Hilford.
I'm going to ever had a fortune told?
Yes.
Okay, what kind?
I don't remember. It was
Don't
in
re-
college.
Oh, in college, okay. I'm going to show you a little bit about numerology. I'm going to show you a little bit about cardistry, cardology, and we'll talk just briefly about it. And then I'll actually be teaching you how you can do it at home, all right? So it's not psychic stuff. It's still more kind of sciencey stuff. But it's really interesting, okay? Have we ever met before?
No.
That's what you think. You just mean this time, right? In fact, okay, I wasn't planning on doing this, but I'm going to do it, all right? Do me a favor. Just put your initial right up there in the corner so that you can...
Just the first one? Or
Yeah, first or second, it doesn't matter. Or all of them, she says. It doesn't matter. I just don't want you to tell me your name yet, okay? Because you're being the validation of my little note later. I'm going to try to remember what happened when we met before. I know it sounds weird, but that's exactly what we're going to do. This is weird. Poe said that all that we know and all that we seem is nothing but a dream within a dream. Okay. I think that's all I want to write. Let me fold this up so you can't read it. All right, now we're safe. I'm going to actually keep this little piece of paper. I want to put it somewhere that it's on display and safe from being altered. All right, how about, I'll use this. This is a pay envelope, but it's actually got a little window in it, right? So it can stay on display this whole time. Now, we've not met each other before, as according to you. I'm going to put this here so that you can see it, and then we're going to put that there so it stays like this. Now, I can do some things with the cards and with some numbers. First of all, what is your name?
Am I supposed to tell you?
Well, see, if I say it, you can say no. So go ahead and tell me your name. Now we're going to begin.
For real.
Yeah, for real.
Okay, Lauren.
Like Bacall.
Yeah.
L-O-R.
No.
L-A-R?
L-A-U-R.
L-A-U-R-I-N?
E-N.
E-N. Oh, not like Lauren Bacall. Okay.
How do you spell her name?
Well, I'm sorry?
How does Lauren Bacall spell her name?
B-E-C-A-L-L. Okay. And Lauren, what is your birth date?
April 2nd? Do you want
January, February, March, April. That's 4/2. What year?
97.
1997. 4/2/97. What does that make you?
26.
No, I mean zodiologically.
Oh, an Aries.
An Aries. 97. Okay. So let me figure this. 4 plus 2 is 6. And 1 from 19, okay, let's do this, is 6. And 19 makes 25. And 97 makes 122, if anyone's following. And 1 plus 2 is 3 is a 5. All right? Is that right?
I'm really bad at math.
Okay. You can take the whole thing.
Okay.
So that's 4 plus 2 is 6. 19 plus 19 would be 25, plus 97 is 122.
I believe you.
Okay, now all of you, wait a minute, I want to do something else with this. I had you put your initial on the inside of this, but I didn't have you initial the outside. So put your initial on the outside for me, and then drop it in here so that those initials are seen through the window. Great, good, I forgot that. All right, so there's a quicker way to do it. You can, and I'll try to turn so we can all see it. Well, let's start over. 4, 7? 4-2. 4-2, 1997. If you do what's called casting out nines, because we're just going to go down to a single number. We're going to add 4 plus 2 plus 1 plus 9 plus 9 plus 7. And then whatever those are, we're going to keep reducing. If you cast out nines, because 9 is the completion of the whole cycle, you don't need to even add those, because that's the same as adding 0. 9 and 0 are the same in this situation, right? So we don't need that 9, we don't need that 9, and anything that adds up to 9, the 2 and the 7, would leave. Now you can just do 4 and 1, and that gives you the 5, right? Is that interesting, right? So now you all can do your own path life number in your head. So can I share something great with you?
Go for it.
Since we're just on kind of this intimate thing going. By the way, I love your look. You, with the hair and everything, you're kind of that kitty emoji that I use all the time. This, right? The smiling kitty emoji with the ears? No. Yeah, in the last 10 minutes, right? No, I'm sure people compliment you all the time. You have a great look. You have a great style. I love the makeup, by the way. I love the little touches. I'm not going to point out, but I really love the little dots and all of that. My birth date is easy because it's single digits like yours, right? 4 and 2 is 6, so that's easy to do. And then the 19, we drop out the 9s and it becomes easier. So I won't tell you the first 2 of mine, but my last number, so it gives my age away, right, is 1959. So if we drop the 9 from 19 and the 9 from 59, the 1 and the 5 is a 6, right? And my birth date is June 6th. Yeah, 666 is my birth number. And people go, I don't believe you. It's true. Look it up on the internet. Everything's there, right? Okay, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about that, about your number, and then we're going to take a card and look at what cartomancy is too. So I'll give you these to play with, and you can take them out and mix them up as much as you want as we go along. A 5 is a great number. Anybody else has done that in your birth date yet? You can mentally do it, right? That's easy math, right? Have you figured out your numbers? Any 5s yet? No? Okay, well, I'll get to you and I'll ask you. If you do that, you can do it on your phone or do it in your head. I'll ask you in a minute what your number is, and I'll give you a little general Jungian reading based on your numerological life number. So you're a 5. 5 is the number of adventure. Adventure is not always good. People think, oh yeah, that means like, Adventure Island. No, it means pirates, right? Adventure is not always good. It's interesting. It's adventurous, but it's not always good. And that describes your whole life, that you throw yourself into it completely so that it's an adventure. You don't just halfway. And I would say, do you cook? When you cook, it's an adventure.
I hate recipes.
Exactly. You want to explore and find new things and new ways of doing things. Not just cooking, in every aspect of your life. As you mature and go through your life, you're going to still hold on to that. And in your family life, because you're not married now, but you will be, and you don't think so, but you will, and you will have children, even though you go, who would want to bring a child into this world? You've said those words, yes?
Yeah.
Exactly. But that's not going to work. She's going to have a kid, and it's going to be an adventure, and they're going to want to do things and go places, and mom's going to be the one that goes, pack up, we're leaving tonight. We're going somewhere, because that's your life path number. What number did you come up with?
7.
7 is the number of knowledge and mystery, right? So like they're in all sorts of mysterious books, all sorts of books of religion, 7 is the book of mystery. So when like here's a well-known guy, this Jesus guy says, they go, hey, how often should we forgive? And they go 7 times. That doesn't mean completion like 9. It means the mystery, right? An unknown knowledge. How do we gain that? That's what they're asking in this mystery script, right? How do we gain the knowledge of forgiveness? And his answer is super mysterious. He doesn't say yes. He goes, no, 7 times 70. Right? Mystery times 10. And then it's a mystery. You go, well, that's no answer. Well, that's why it's lasted several thousand years, right? The answer. Who else has a number? What's your number?
Oh, mine was also 7, sorry.
Oh, also 7. But see, now that describes you though, right? You're a seeker.
I suppose.
Yeah, no, but you're not satisfied with people telling you what the answer is, right? And this will apply to you too. If you want to know, well, is there another side to this? What's the other side? What's your name, sir?
Joe.
Joe. What do you know? Joe? Right. Sorry, I'm 1930s. I guess that's okay. I did know what a taxi was, by the way, guy. I use terms like car fare. Remember that, sir? Do you have car fare? Yeah, no, I have a phone and an Uber. Joe, there's a difference between knowledge, understanding, and wisdom, right? And they're not all the same thing. You don't get a bunch of knowledge. Knowledge is not power. Wisdom is power, right? Knowledge is like grass growing, wheat growing in the field, wild wheat. And when you harvest it, you've brought in knowledge. But then they have to do a thing called thrashing. They have to beat the crap out of that to make it something you can eat, right? And a thrasher is beating that to separate the edible part out of the stalks, right? That's understanding. And that's what 7s do the best, is they bring in knowledge and they thrash it into something edible. But still, you don't need a handful of wheat. You have to grind it. You take it and put it under stress, and it grinds down into a flour. Then you can make an infinite number of things, right? From pasta to pastries. And that's wisdom. So that's what you guys both have. Okay, 1 or 2 more. Did you get one? I know you guys were figuring. No? Did you have one? What's yours? 8? Ooh, money number. Money number. And it doesn't mean you'll be rich. It means that money represents more than just mammon. Money represents, to a person with 8, money represents wealth. And wealth equals value. What is valuable? And so whereas the general population go, money, that's the stuff in my pocket. We don't have, I keep turning to you because you and I graduated the same year, and we're used to money in our pocket. They're not, right? You're used to numbers in your account. And you look at the number, this is the, I don't have my phone here. This is the, right, the phone has the money, whereas you, sir, you and I, we had it in our wallet, right? But that's not how you see money. You see what money can do for you, what it can do for others, how it can be good, how it can be demanding. And you have the key to wealth, knowing that if you treat money like you would treat a dear friend, that that money will treat you that way. Often general people just want to dominate money, right? But if you treat it like you would someone you care about, right? You don't just spend it on anything. You spend it wisely, you accumulate it, and that's how you look at money, correct? Yeah, very good. What was yours? 11, really, that's awesome. It's a 2, but 11 is its own number, right? 11 is a very powerful number because it's 2 ones, and 1 is the number of power. But 2, and then we won't go real long on this, 2 is the number of diplomacy. So she is, right? Is she with you? She is the diplomat, right? She's the one that, it's that 11 that makes you hesitate. Well, the 11 is the 2 powers that come together and using that to go, I will make peace. I will find the common ground and we'll work this out as long as it's my way. Right? So that's very good, very interesting. Okay, good. Now let's do this. You've mixed those cards up quite a bit. I'm going to bring this over to you, all right? I want you to be comfy. And right there, where the slate was, I'm going to have you, first I'm going to give your cards here. Do you want to mix them anymore? Because you've randomized everything in here.
I feel confident.
Okay, good. Jokers. Jokers are the Fool card, by the way. These all came, no more jokers. These all came from the tarot deck, right? So there's the major and minor arcana. This is the minor arcana. And hearts are cups, spades are swords, clubs are wands, right, with the sticks, right? And diamonds are obviously the pentacles, the coins, right? So there they are. If you go to Spain, Italy, Mexico, South America, the 32 card pack uses those actual things. They use the stick, the wand, the same suits. What I want you to do for me, Lauren, is to just deal down cards like this, one on top of the other, but based on your birth date. Let's cut them and start over. So deal down, let's see, you're a 97, right? 9 and 7 is 16. Deal 16 cards down then. Okay. Now, 16, 6 plus 1 is 7. Put 7 cards back. Very good. Perfect. I'll take these. That leaves 1 card here and 1 card here. And I want you, because I don't want it to just be a card you dealt to, I want you to have some influence. Put your finger on one of those 2 cards. Very good. Let me move this. I'll take that and leave it there. Whatever card you chose based on your shuffling, your birth date, and then your final choice is going to reflect something in your immediate future. Now, how is this possible? Because the immediate future is totally random. What you just did is totally random, but it's not. Neither is the immediate future. The immediate future is based on your choices, just like this. The immediate future is based on some of the things that were set in motion before you were born, like your birth date. So combining those 2 things should show us something about your immediate future. Show us what the card is. 10 of diamonds. The 10 is the number of communication, right, as far as cards go. So it used to only mean a letter. Now it means a text, it means an email, it can mean a phone call, but it means some sort of important communication. Of course, diamond is easy to understand. It's financial, it's money. And this card is never bad news. This is always good financial news. So either you just got some sort of letter of a notice of some sort of financial windfall, or you will very soon. Are you expecting some sort of news with finance? A grant? Or don't worry, no one you know is going to die and leave you a bunch of money. But that's a good thing to remember, okay? Now, when you go home, what you can do is basically use the same numbers 1 through 9, which I won't teach you here, but are easily found online, and the 4 suits. Do any random number, any card you want, and it'll show you what it means by combining the suit, money, and those are easily found. All of this leads me to what I told you when you came up here. We've met before. We've met many times before. But on this very day, on this very stage, at this very moment. And a little bit after this, I'm going to show how that moment repeats itself over and over and over. I wanted to prove that, because when you sat down and said, no, we've never met, I made some notes. You initialed the note on the inside and the outside. And I wanted to put it on display where it couldn't be touched, and that's where it's been. So if you would open your hand, I'm going to pour that into your hand. Those are your initials, yes?
They are.
Would you open up that little piece of paper and see that your initial's still up in the corner, of course, because that's the paper.
Yeah.
Now, read that to yourself. And that's what I remembered about meeting you before. Not just once, many times before. Now, if you would be, right, it's astounding, isn't it? Do me a favor, stand up, Lauren. You're so pretty. I'm going to move your chair. And now, you're going to read out loud what I wrote. It took a while to write, if you remember, so she's got something to read. What does it say?
It says Lauren, birthday, 4/2/1997. Her card, 10 of diamonds.
Crazy, right? Now, that is a good luck charm. So fold that up, put that in your wallet, because really the difference between a memento and a piece of trash is so thin, right? Lauren, thank you so much. I'm going to send you back to your seat, and everybody's going to applaud for you. Hi, I'm Doc Hilford, and I want to show you some variations and some ideas with Tom Phoenix's lovely black envelope. First of all, it's beautifully made. It's lovely. I like it. However, I say that I don't want to introduce it to the audience until it's time to use it. Now, many props you want to introduce first. Just like a play, you want to introduce a prop you're going to use later. Or a movie, they often do that. They'll introduce the samurai sword well before they need it in the battle, right? They'll mention it, it's hanging on the wall as an ornament. Yeah, that's beautiful. And then, 30 minutes later, there's a fight scene and he grabs that sword. That's great, and it needs to be done in magic and mentalism. But with these envelopes, because they're unusual and they are unlike things people see in everyday life, I like to propose a problem, a need for this envelope, and then the envelope meets the need and everyone's mind is calm. For instance, I'm going to start with a pad. Any pad will do. This is a pad of paper, and I have 2 billets on it. They are just stuck under the top of the pad. You can stick them there with a small piece of double-sided tape, or you can hold them there with your thumb. You can put a rubber band around a stack of 3x5 cards and stick little billets on it. Doesn't matter. all you're going to do, we're going to do some double writing and get it into the envelope, or actually make it look like it came from the envelope. So the presentation you saw was, let me tell your fortune. I'm not making a prediction. I'm going to tell your fortune. But I'm going to do something interesting. This is theatrically sound. Then I'm not going to tell you what it is. First, let me write something down. So I'm not actually writing anything down. I am at this time, but I'm thinking about it, and then, okay, yes, that's what I wrote down. And this is going, I want to put it on display where it can't be touched. There's my need. I need to put it on display where it can't be touched. I could drop it into a glass, or because I do this often, I can use this black envelope. This is up to you how much you want to display the black envelope. First of all, this doesn't matter what I wrote on here because this is in fact a dummy billet. It will have no use except to be a placeholder for a piece of paper. So this is out of play at this moment, but I introduced the envelope. So now I can show it empty because it is. There's nothing in this envelope. It just has a skylight so that you can see in there. And that way I can put this piece of paper on display. While I'm gesturing here, I want to separate my two flaps so that I can open the front compartment by bowing it thusly and then just drop it in. Very natural, looks great. My dummy is in play. Now it's set. So, Doc, couldn't you just do this before the show and say, I have already written something? That's not very interesting to me. Maybe, it may work with your pattern, but for me, that's not interesting. It's suspicious. I've never seen an envelope like that. I don't know what that paper is. I don't know that you wrote it. I'm suspicious of everything. But what I just did, I'm going to tell your fortune. First, let me write something down and put it on display where it can't be touched. All of that is interesting rather than suspicious. And I got to show the envelope completely empty because later I want them to remember the envelope was empty before and after, because after it's not empty, right? So I want to plant this seed in their mind. There we go. This is going to, I can place this like this on the cards to show it. However, we're going to use the cards in a moment. Now, I need a reason to double write. Double writing is very tricky. And I would say that it's something you need to not only practice in front of a mirror, but actually think about what you're doing. There are ways to get away with double writing. In Ted Anneman's book, A Book with No Name, is where we get our first idea of double writing. Later, he took that trick, that very trick, Just an Echo is the name of the trick, and put it in the Jinx. Later, Max Holden took a bunch of tricks from the Jinx and published it in a book called Practical Mental Effects. When the copyright ran out, Dover Publishing took it and retitled it to Practical Magic Effects, or Practical Mental Magic, yay. So it's been through that. This is Just an Echo. And Anneman had a pencil with a second pencil rubber banded to it. And then he had a pad that he was making a list, and next to it was his prediction. So when he wrote once, because there were two pencil points, he would write, and it would write double along the list. And then he needed something psychological to throw off this vertical list so it was obvious he wasn't doing what he was doing. And his psychological force, beautiful, was think of any vehicle engine. Now remember, this was the mid to late 30s, So this new amazing engine for cars was all the rage. This new thing that the Ford Corporation had invented, the Ford V8. So that was the only engine on everybody's mind. So that's the bottom, as there's this list, a number, a number, a number. It's totaled, and then there's think of any engine, a psychological force. And it could certainly be, if you want to do just an echo, you could change it to name any wild animal, and they're going to say lion, right? Any wild animal, like a tiger or a bear, you're done. Anyway, that was double writing then. It's very complicated today. It's hard to get away with. Also, writing twice is hard, even harder to get away with. Watch yourself on video. Set up your cell phone, put it on video, and write. When someone says 6, write 6, and look away and write 6 secretly. 5, write 5, and write 5 secretly. It's tougher than you think. Of course, if you learned that, I suggest this little tip. When you really write it on the prediction that everyone's going to open and read. And when you write it, when you're not looking, write it sloppy. Try not to be, of course, but when you're not looking, write it on the pad that you're making a note. So that then you can flash it, is this right? Yes. And then the prediction, it's written as you looked at it very neatly, okay? So do it kind of reverse. Here we're not going to do that at all. We're going to make it very simple because I'm going to ask for their birth date so that I can write that down and do some numerology to tell your fortune. First of all, what's your name? Let's say your name is, let's think of an exotic, unusual name. I know, Sam. And I'm thinking of Sam the Eagle from the Muppets. Oh, that's a great show. Sam the Muppets. So what's your name? Sam. I'm going to write on my billet. Remember, I have the second billet here. I'm going to openly write Sam on there because I want that to be already written. That's going to be one of my predictions. Okay, so I'm going to write that there. And as I look away, I'm going to do the second writing thing. So I wrote it again on the real pad just by flipping this down. Now, what is your birthday? And we're going to make this your birthday, but it's not going to really be your birthday because that would just be weird. I'm going to say it's January 2nd, 1990, all right? Because that may aim somewhere between higher than you or lower than you. So now I have time because I'm writing a bunch. January, I'm going to write 1, 2, 1990. But as I'm writing that, 1, 2, 1990, I have time to write a little more. So I just wrote 1, 2 on there. And now I'm going to add those together. So I'm going to finish what I was writing. 1, 2, 1990. Now, this part I will have written. I didn't want to write it before now, but in actuality, I have written before I start the trick. I didn't want to confuse you, but this is written beforehand. It's going to be the force card. My force card, I use 2 force cards all the time, and they are from the game Casino. And the point cards in Casino are the big casino and the little casino. Big casino's the 10 of diamonds, little casino's the 2 of spades. I always know my force cards. I don't have to think of it. This is pre-written 10 of diamantes. That was pre-written and stuck on here first. Okay, you can't see it because it's under the band. So I don't have to write that. It's a force card. And you saw how we used it, but I want you to see the psychology of the force card and why it's important. So I write the rest of these down. I don't need to write anything else down. I'm going to fold this over as I start to add these together. Let's see. 1 and 2. Now I really am adding. 1 and 2 is 3, and plus 1 is 4. And now I'm adding this on the page, which gives me all the time to disengage it and fold it up, because this is pre-folded, yes? All right, so as I'm folding it, I've got all the time. I just shoved it up there to keep it safe. You can put it anywhere. Add 1 and 2 is 3, plus 1 is 4. I don't use the 9s or the 0, so that would be a total of 7, right? 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 9 plus 0. Would you like to try that out? Here, you can check it. Now, it's given me a reason, see? It's given me a reason to use the pad and to double write, and it's given me time to double write, and I'm not doing a prediction, and I'm not writing your choices. I'm adding up your birthday, so I have a reason to use the pad. All right, so here we are. Now all this is done. My prediction, which I really was, is already written. This was pre-written. This I wrote a little bit more. I wrote this. You have time to write the name later, whatever. If you'd like, you can pre-write things on your prediction. You can put Sam's birthday is, but I just put the facts because I'm keeping it simple. It's your preference. All right, so we finished this. We've torn this off. I put this away in my pocket, on the table, whatever, and keep my double-written billet hidden in my hand. Now, this is your life number, your world life number, 7. And I'm going to give you a reading about 7. But before we go any further, let's take a minute, you and me, we'll break the fourth wall. Before we go any further, now you and I take a moment and say, has this all been interesting to the sitter, to the participant, to the subject? Yeah, because think about what happened. We said, I'm going to tell your fortune. They're interested. Let me write something down. I don't want you to see it. I'm going to put it on display, but no one can touch it. Mystery. Interesting. All right, what's your name? Interesting. My name's the most important word I hear all day, right? That goes for every person, right? What's your name? Good, okay, that's fine. And we'll put that on the top of the pad. And what's your birth date? And I write that down. Now, let's add these numbers together. Now, I'm showing you numerology that most people have never seen. And then pull off the scratchy pad and say, there's your life number. Now, all this has been interesting. Now is the payoff. I'm going to tell you about your future based on your birthday number. But before I do that, I want to switch this billet. I don't say that, but that's what's going to happen. Before I do that, I forgot to put your initials on this. What I'm going to do is switch the billet here and then put it back in the envelope so it removes any sort of memory that the billet was switched. All right, so I have this secretly palmed. My move, now you can do the move Nick showed you. You can hold it this way, you can hold it this way, however you're comfortable with. You can reach in, you can keep it finger palmed and reach in and slowly pull it out. But for this, I like to use the envelope like an envelope. So this is secretly palmed. I open this. This is really the front because the back flap is open. Bow it so it's free. And what I'm going to do is apparently just dump it into my hand like that. And there it is. And this, of course, is now completely empty, which it's not. Let's do that again from behind the scenes. All right, we'll put this. Dummy is back here. This is here. And what I'm going to do, let me get rid of this, is I'm just going to literally dump this out, but I'm not going to let the dummy escape the envelope. So I put my thumb as a guard, and it just falls and hits my thumb, right? So perfectly natural to do this. And when this comes down, see, I don't have to look to see if it came out because, like for real, I have to see it fall. Once I see it, it can't go past my thumb. So once I see it, I just leave it right there, let this stop, and reveal this. So it looks to speed like this. This is hidden. It comes to here. Once I see it, I just turn this away and reveal this. You need to initial it. This is what this looks like, and of course, this is going to fall back just barely, and these lock closed, all one-handed, and now it's impossible to find. It's a billet hider. So we switched it and hid it permanently. So now you initial, TJ, now you initial my prediction that I forgot. And by the way, this is my prediction, right? Because I switched it. So in speed, it looks like this. This all takes place rather quickly, right? It's here. This is your life number, 7. But before we get there, I forgot to ask you to initial that. Good. Initial that. I'm not going to touch it. See that the moment that I touch it, I only touch it for the moment to dump it in my hand and drop it on the table. Initial it, and then, now since this is locked, now I'm clean. Sorta. I mean, it's locked into a secret compartment, so that's clean enough for me, if you know what I mean. I have said that many times in my life. Clean enough for me. So they pick it up, they drop it in. It drops, I want it to be this way, not the other way, sorry. They pick it up, they drop it in so everyone can see it. No, drop it in with the initials facing. Good, thanks. Now everyone can see it. My flaps are magnetically held closed so I can leave it just, this is just now. So why do you need the cards? So I'm going to give a reading based on the number 7, a cold reading. If you want to learn a cold reading, all you have to do is there are lots of sources to learn very basic meanings of numbers 1 through 9. All you have to do is know a basic meaning from 1 to 9. So it's basically 30%, 25% easier than learning a basic meaning for the, I want to say zoological, and I mean zodiacal, right? For the zodiac signs, right? It's easy, 1 through 9, right? 1 is forceful, 2 means you're bringing things together, you're a diplomat, et cetera, right? 7 is the number of mysticism and knowledge, you're a seeker, you're an intelligent person. It's very easy. So we've done that. Now I want to tell your fortune, which is what I promised. So we're going to force a card, the 10 of diamonds, and in a moment, I'm going to teach you a great card force. So we force, they go through and find, they select whatever, it's on top. They select whatever card they want. It's here. Go, great. Let's tell your fortune. Again, all you need to know are 4 basic meanings of the suits and 13 different meanings of the numbers, of 9 of which you already know from numerology. So you're way ahead of the game. You can start telling fortunes by cards and numbers with this envelope. All right, so I say 10 is the number of messages. It used to be letters. Today it could be email, it could be text, it could be a phone call. And diamonds are finances. So this is the number of finance, of good news, of positive, of a message in your future that will tell you of something good financially coming your way. So this is a great card. That's why it's forced. Now, now we're done. We're done. And I want to make this real clear that there are rules to magic and mentalism. There are 28 of them, and they are published in Maskelyne and Devant's book, Our Magic. And two of the most important rules are rule number 4 and rule number 5, which is you won't have 2 tricks going on at the same time. That's 4. And 5 is when you're done with one trick, don't start the next one till you're finished with the one you just did. So according to 2 of the greatest magicians in modern history, there's no such thing as a kicker. I'm just saying, I know you hate me, but I'm just saying. No such thing as a kicker. A kicker is anticlimactic. I don't want to be anticlimactic. I want this little reading I did, even though it's fortune cookie reading, it's important to the participant. So I don't want to rush through it and get to my trick. I want the trick to stand alone by itself. So mentally, emotionally, I have given a reading on the number 7, which is about their birth date. Emotionally, that's strong for them. Great. I've given a reading on a card they think they chose freely based on their birth date. That's great. Done. Now, and they hurt a little bit, and if you study some other cold reading, you put additional stuff in there. Now we're finished. Done. That's great. You got what I promised. And rest and scene, right? Rest. They're going to wonder, what the heck is the thing you wrote down that you wouldn't tell me before? Beginning, ending, right? Alpha, omega. It's time to conclude this entire story, right? Theater works in 3s, Morty, and it is the numerology, the card reading, and now this mystery unveiled. So I'm so far removed from the gimmick, it becomes miraculous. There is no way their mind will go back to double writing from this, because this was actually necessary. There's no way they can go, and even if he did something, he couldn't have switched anything, because I initialed this and I dropped it in the envelope. That is the actual one. We're so removed, and the time delay has changed everything that now we have a miracle. So all I have to do is cleanly pop that open, let it drop out, and say, I knew your future before you knew your future. In fact, you'll see that I knew you before we ever met. I wrote your name, your birth date, and your card of destiny at the very beginning of all this. All right? I hope that's a lot for you to think about. We're going to talk, first off, about the card force, and then I'll come back and show you how to do something else with this envelope. Well, let's look at a simple card force. There are a lot of great card forces. The simpler, the better. So the first thing I want to do in a card force is to eliminate the thought that I, as a mentalist, am doing anything magical with cards. The general population believe that card magicians are expert card manipulators. Because of this movement of cardistry, it has removed the gap that my generation experienced. I was taught by the old school magicians that never do flourishes with card magic. You can either be a card manipulation expert, like a gambling demonstration, cardistry, what they used to call flourishes, and do all of that, spread the cards, the ribbon, back and forth, the mountain, and do all of that, but don't try to sell it off as magical. If you're going to do magical, what we were taught is it has to look like you don't really know how to manipulate cards, but hey, you could command the card to come to the top and it would. And it's believable, the thought was in those days, that it was believable because obviously he couldn't manipulate my chosen card to the top because he could barely handle the cards. That idea should still fly for mentalists. And we've talked about it before. I had that conversation with Nick at a lecture here. But what they believe is that if a magician handles the cards, shuffling it is enough for him to put the card he wants where he wants. And we have to get that out of their mind. So they need to be able to legitimately mix the cards, no false shuffles. They legitimately mix the cards. So how can I keep track of my 10 of diamonds? There are a number of different ways. I could make it a thick card. I could make it a slick card. I could make it a wide card, or I could make it a long card. The easiest is probably to take a pair of scissors and cut down one end just slightly, and that's what this is, a short card. So this is going to start in the middle and allow them to either overhand shuffle, they can riffle shuffle. Most lay people don't do it very well. They can riffle shuffle, they can do whatever they want. And then when I get it, all I have to do is just riffle along the edge, and I can find where that click is, blink, just like that, blink. There's my 10. It's now on the top. So when I take it from them, I just say, you don't mind if I mix this up a little bit more. So I've just virtually cut the 10 to the top. So let me show you that again, in case those of you who don't do much card stuff. As I riffle through, I find the short card. Right? They've shuffled it, I pick it up, it automatically cuts at the short card. And I can just cut the deck, or I can shuffle off. This time, let's just cut the deck. I'm going to cut it. Now, I want you to choose one card in here. Now, undercut. Let's keep the 10 face up so you can watch it the whole time. Right? They shuffle the deck. I find it just by a little riffle, cut the cards. Now I tell them I'm going to mix these up a little bit more. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's all I'm going to do because I want this to be the 9th card. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But Doc, that puts 9 cards on top of your force card. Yeah, I'm going to in-jog this last 9th card. So I just bring it to me just the slightest bit as I, quote, shuffle off. Now, all I have to do is lift at that in-jog card, and the 10 of diamonds is 9 from the top. So now as I lift this up and bring them together, I just cut them again. So it looks like they shuffled as much as they want. I cut it, gave it a little shuffle, cut it again, just to make sure everything's mixed up, and I have positioned the force card 9 from the top. And now I use their birthday to force the card. So they were born in 1990. At that point, and they were 1/2/1990. At that point, I'm just going to add the month and the year, because what I want, the month, the day, and the year in this instance, but what I want in performance, I didn't need that. What I want is a number between 10 and 20, so 11 to 19. And the way to get that is anyone born in the 80s or 90s, if you add those two numbers together, you're going to get a number in the teens. So let's say they were born in 95 instead of 1990, our example here. 95, 9 and 5 is 14. Take the deck that you just shuffled, deal 14 cards one at a time face down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Good. Now, just like we did on the paper, numerology, 9, 1 and 4. We're going to add those together because we've already established that's what we do with numerology. So 14, 1 and 4 is a 5. Please put 5 back on the deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we've led them to the force card. As long as our force card is the 9th card from the top, any number between 11 and 19 inclusive, any number from 11 through 19, added to, when you deal one way, added together makes 9, right? Added together and subtract that, make 9. I think you'll follow that. So this is a great force, non-sleight of hand. There's a little sleight of hand. If you don't like all of that sleight of hand, use the short card. All right, they've mixed up the cards, we'll say. Here we go, let's just mix them up. All right, they've mixed up the card. You say you don't mind if I give them a cut, do you? What I want you to do is just count down like this. So now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, just count down like that, your birth date. So you can do that. There's no shuffling at all. That's the simplest way to do it. And still, they're going to count past 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and then they put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 1 and 4 from 14, and of course, still the card, right? Great, great, simple. Now, if you think this card force is too simple, know that the late, great Al Koran did an entire routine of 3 cards selected this way. He wrote 3 predictions on billets. He ran those 3 predicted cards to 9, 10, and 11, so he would get the 9th, remove it, and start over. Do it again. And then the 10th became the 9th, and then the 11th became the 10th, became the 9th. So he did it 3 times. That was Al Koran. If it's good enough for Al, it's good enough for Doc. And if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. Let's take a look at possibly the simplest use for this black envelope. It could be used in this form as a way to ascertain a zodiac sign, birth date, someone's name, their phone number, just a simple form, simple type of information. And this is not really a peek, it's a billet switch. And so using it as a billet switch, then it gives you, it's not a quick peek, it's not a quick glance, it gives you all the time in the world to read the billet. So they could actually write a question because you have time enough to read the entire question. However, I find it, in modern times, very few lay people walk around thinking, man, I can't wait to meet a pseudo-psychic so I can ask them this question. I think that probably in our world, the best thing is, say, a zodiac sign or a birth date. So let's just use the idea that this billet is a zodiac sign, that I ask them to write down their zodiac sign on that billet, and after they do, I say the same statement. I want to put it on display, but I don't want to touch it. It shouldn't be able to be touched, but let's put it on display. How about we put it right here? So what I have is I have a dummy billet set up in the forward compartment behind the screen, behind the little screen here. The second flap is already open. So as this comes out of my pocket, again, like we said before, it answers the question, right? Well, where will we put my zodiac sign, my secret information, where it can be on display, yet Doc can't touch it to be able to read it? Why don't we put it right here? Here's an envelope. It has a window. Not only is it an envelope, so it'll save us from it ever being touched, right? Protect the billet, but it has a window in it so it can be on display. So it answers both questions. No one has to ask after that. All I'm going to do is just fake putting this in the envelope and slide it under my right thumb, but at the same time, I'm going to bow this so that the dummy falls into the window and it looks like I dropped this. So really, it's just a matter of timing. I'm going to hold this. I have my finger here because this is going to go under my finger. Let me do it from your side. This is going to go under my finger, and at the same time, I'm going to squeeze this so it pops. So as this comes in, I just squeeze this, it pops open and falls down, and it looks like I just dropped it in there, okay? So this is what it should look like. Bring it out, and let's just put this in there like that, and it should look like this. Now, don't accidentally put it in there, right? Be certain that it falls at the same time. You're just going to place it. All you have to do, you're really only hidden for a moment, put it under your finger, right? Just for the moment. And once it's under your finger, then pop it and let it drop. So it looks like you just put it in there. Because imagine this. Let's do it for real. If I'm really doing it, I'm going to put it in here. Now I can let go of it, and when I turn it, it's going to drop in, right? You can't see both sides at the same time. From this side, I'm going to, right? If I put it in here, if I turn it, it drops in. Same thing happens here. If I put it in here and turn it, it's going to drop in. So I want to recreate that. I have this secretly sitting here, and I'm going to take the dummy, or the question rather, and put it behind my finger. All I have to do is, again, let it go, and it drops in. So there's no way I could be controlling it with my index finger because they're not thinking of that. I hope that makes sense, right? So once this is in here, now I have control of the question. So this is back here. I can hold it like this. I can take it like, as long as I keep this, and I'm going to get it into my dead hand. The hand, in this case, is my left hand. As I do that, bring this up and show it, all attention's going to go here. I'm going to close the flap, which allows me to lay this down in view, right? And everything's Jake. And I have the actual question. Now it's merely a matter of secretly opening it up when I turn my back in my lap, or getting a glass, opening it here, and placing it in my palm and putting the glass and stare into the glass of water as a crystal ball and read the question, answer it, put the glass back and refold this, and then we just come back to what we did before. We're going to open it. We have this. So again, let me open it and just dump it out here. Good. And that, think of this. We're done with the trick because I gave the reading, I revealed the answer here. We're done with the trick before, let me bring this back, before we switch this back in. Right? There we are. I would, by the way, once I've dropped this in there, not lock these back together so that I'm ready to switch it out. But we're done at this point, right? I've read it and refolded it. We're done. The only thing I'm doing here is just dumping this out so that you can have it, right? So there's no heat. I guarantee you most people won't even be watching you dump it out, because as far as if you've done your job right, as far as they're concerned, it's just that's their question. It's always been on display the whole time. The last thing you have to do is show it to them. There it is, and you're done. And you can use this later again.
That's everything for the Workers Envelope. Special thanks to Tom Phoenix for allowing us to produce his great envelope here at P3. Speaking of Tom, he's one of our favorite creators and contributors over at penguinmagic.com. So if you type in Tom Phoenix on Penguin, you'll see a lot of Tom's magic and mentalism that he's published through our partner program and some other products that he's released. So if you like this style of thinking, go check out Tom's work. I'm looking forward to meeting Tom one of these days. While you're there, leave Workers Envelope a review, a good one, because it deserves it. This is a great envelope, and I hope you got a lot out of it. Also, thanks to Doc Hilford for stopping by and teaching us a thing or two as well. On behalf of everybody here at Penguin Magic, thank you again for your purchase. My name's Nick. I'll see you next time.